There's a reason your reality feels familiar, even when you try to change it. No matter how much you shift your mindset, life keeps looping, but it's not your thoughts holding you back. It's something far deeper, something woven into your being. There's a principle in quantum physics called entanglement, and it's one of the most puzzling and intriguing phenomena ever observed. Two particles, once connected, remain linked in a way that defies space and time. Change one and the other reacts instantly, even if it's on the opposite side of the universe. Einstein himself called it spooky action at a distance. But here's what most people miss. This isn't just about tiny particles, it's about you. You, as consciousness, are entangled too. Not just with people, but with timelines, versions of yourself, identities, emotional imprints, even belief systems. And many of those connections no longer match who you're becoming, yet they're still active, still influencing your energy, and still shaping your reality. Let that sink in. You might be unknowingly tied to the wrong timeline, a version of reality that fits your past, not your potential, a version that keeps dragging you back into the same cycles, because at a quantum level, you haven't fully let go of the link. And since entanglement operates beyond thought, you can't just think your way out. You have to shift the signal. Let's move this from theory to your life. Have you ever had an emotional memory so intense it felt like the past was replaying? That's entanglement. Have you ever been pulled toward a situation you know isn't right for you, yet the draw feels irresistible? That's entanglement. Or have you tried to manifest a new life, only to end up in the same old struggles? That too is entanglement. A vibrational tie between who you were and the reality that matches it. The quantum field doesn't respond to what you claim to want. It responds to what you're connected to. That includes the hidden energetic links you carry, old heartbreaks, identities built on pain, unhealed wounds, outdated beliefs that once protected you. These aren't just memories, they're active threads. And here's the key. The field always mirrors your entanglements, so even as you visualize your dream life, if you're still energetically bound to the version of you that doubts it's possible, that bond takes priority. Not because the universe is against you, but because the field is faithful. It reflects what's most consistent in your vibration. And entanglements are often your strongest signal. So the real question is who or what are you still entangled with? This might sound intense, but it's actually freeing, because once you recognize these bonds, you can start to dissolve them, not by forcing, not by ignoring, but by observing, and then choosing anew. Because entanglement isn't permanent, it's vibrational, and vibration can change. In the next part of this journey, we'll explore how these threads formed, how they create reality loops, and how you can pinpoint exactly which timeline you're still linked to. Because once you do, something remarkable happens. You create space. And space is what lets the quantum field realign with a new signal, one that actually matches your growth. So don't look away. The truth is, many of the limits in your life aren't yours. They're echoes of old ties. And the moment you see them, you gain the power to break the invisible contract and collapse the wrong timeline for good. This isn't about severing ties with people, but with frequencies, and that shift changes everything. Most people assume they're stuck because they made a bad choice, missed an opportunity, or lack willpower. But what if the real reason has nothing to do with your actions and everything to do with the unseen threads you're still holding? Quantum entanglement at its core is about shared fields of information. When two particles entangle, their states are no longer separate. Even across galaxies, they move as one. Now imagine this, not just with particles, but with moments in your life. Emotional events, decisions, identities, beliefs. Every time you go through something deeply emotional, you imprint a vibrational signature into the field. If that moment carries intensity, trauma, fear, attachment, or longing, it often gets tangled in your energy system. That memory doesn't just stay in your mind, it becomes part of your frequency. This is why certain feelings come up, even when there's no obvious trigger. It's not just memory, it's resonance. You're still linked to a vibrational imprint from the past. And the quantum field, that invisible web responding to your state, keeps echoing that frequency back to you. Because the field doesn't separate past from present, it only responds to now. And if your now is still tied to an old timeline, the reality you experience mirrors that loop. Think of your life like a song playing in the background. You might be trying to write new lyrics, but if the melody is stuck on a sad or disempowered rhythm, it doesn't matter how uplifting your words are, the frequency still sets the tone. In quantum terms, the observer effect shows us that what you focus on shapes reality. But what most people miss is this: you don't observe just with your thoughts. You observe through entangled frequency. See, we often carry energetic markers that tell the field what we're still holding on to. An ex you haven't fully let go of, a failure that redefined you, a family belief you never challenged. These aren't just stories, they're energetic knots, and they send out a signal. Here's the tricky part. You might think you've moved on while your frequency is still stuck in an old pattern. And that mismatch creates resistance. You may feel like you're pushing for change, but something invisible is holding you back. That something is your entangled self, tugging from the other end of the thread. A version of you frozen in time, still replaying, still active. And because time in the quantum sense isn't linear, the past isn't behind you. It's parallel, it's reachable. And unless you shift the frequency, it keeps bleeding into your present. Let's make this real. Imagine you had a moment in childhood when you didn't feel safe being fully seen. That moment left an energetic imprint. Staying invisible felt safer. That belief didn't stay in the past. It became part of your vibration. And even now, as an adult striving to be more visible, more confident, more magnetic, your energy field still carries that signal. You're still tied to that moment. Your mind broadcasts, "I want expansion," but your field whispers, "I fear visibility." The result? Stagnation, mixed signals, repeating patterns. This is how entanglement creates reality loops. It traps you in cycles where the same situations, people and emotions reappear with new faces, but the same old energy. Until the entanglement clears, your vibration stays predictable, and the quantum field. It responds to predictability, not potential. Here's the paradox. Most people try to change their lives by setting new goals or affirming new beliefs. But if those intentions are layered over tangled energy, they don't transmit clearly. The frequency gets muddled. It's like trying to tune into a new station, while static from the old one still plays. The field can't read a fragmented signal. It only responds to coherence. In the next phase, we'll explore how to spot these entangled frequencies in your own life. Because once you recognize the pattern, you can change its source. We'll uncover the signs, emotional, physical, and energetic, that you're still bound to an outdated timeline. And more importantly, how to start dissolving it. Not through force, but through realignment. Because here's the truth. You are not the version of you who carried that wound. You are the version who gets to release it and create something new. One of the most powerful steps on your path of quantum awakening is recognizing the signs of vibrational entanglement, the clues that you're still linked to an old reality. Because once you see the pattern, you can stop letting it control you, and that's when the timeline starts to shift. So how do you know you're still tangled in a reality that no longer fits? Start with your emotions. If you're stuck in repeating cycles emotionally in relationships or situations, that's your first hint. You might notice that no matter how much you change externally, the same internal loop plays out. The faces, jobs, and places shift, but the feelings stay the same. You keep replaying variations of the same story. That's not chance. That's resonance. That's entanglement at work. Now check your triggers. Are there themes that always pull you into reaction, even when you know better? That's another sign, because entanglement lives in the nervous system. When you're bound to an old timeline, your body recalls it before your mind does. You react not to what's happening now, but to what it echoes from your past. This creates what we call emotional echoes, energetic ripples from past experiences that continue to resonate in your present. Until they're released, the field perceives them as part of your current vibration. Another sign, recurring thoughts that clash with your conscious desires. If you catch yourself imagining worst-case scenarios, dismissing ideas before testing them, or feeling uneasy when things go well, that's not a mindset problem. It's an entanglement issue. Your system is still tied to a timeline where things fell apart, where you were left behind, or where success felt dangerous. And until you sever that link, those energetic anchors skew your inner compass. Let's go deeper. One of the subtlest yet strongest signs of quantum entanglement is emotional déjà vu. You're not reliving events, but you're reliving states. That sense of "I've felt this before," even in a totally new setting, is often the echo of an old vibrational pattern still active in the background. It's your system attempting to resolve an unfinished frequency by drawing in a fresh version of the same scenario. This is also why healing work that only targets the mind often falls short. You can reframe beliefs, journal daily, repeat affirmations, but if your energy field remains entangled, the shift doesn't fully take hold. The quantum field doesn't respond to your words. It reads your signal, and that signal is complex. Thought is just one layer. Emotion, embodiment, and energetic imprint run deeper, and that's where entanglement resides. Another key symptom, time distortion. When you're tangled in the wrong timeline, you often feel out of step with your life. Opportunities seem delayed. Time either crawls or rushes unnaturally. You might feel stuck, like everyone's advancing while you're standing still. That's not failure. It's a sign you're off your true path. You're still circling a frequency that belongs to a past version of you. And don't overlook the physical. Your body is your most honest guide. Chronic fatigue, chest tightness, unexplained heaviness, or even a subtle ache in the heart space can all be physical markers of entanglement. Because these energetic threads aren't just ideas, they exist in the nervous system, the subtle body, even cellular memory. Here's the key. Spotting these signs isn't about stirring fear, it's about sparking awareness. Because the moment you realize a pattern is energetic, not personal, you reclaim your power. It means the loop isn't your fault, it's just your frequency, and frequencies can be adjusted. In the next section, we'll move beyond awareness and into realignment. You'll learn how to start detaching from timelines that no longer serve you, not through force, but through vibrational precision. Because the field isn't judging you, it's just reflecting you. and the universe responds in kind. So if you felt stuck, looping, or oddly pulled toward your past, you're not broken, you're just entangled. And that can shift quickly. Now that you're starting to notice the signs, you might wonder what actually happens when you release an entanglement, when you sever the tie, keeping you bound to the wrong timeline. The answer isn't just emotional relief. It's quantum realignment. The moment you consciously begin to let go of an old vibrational bond, the field reacts. Not because you forced anything, but because you made room. And space in the quantum realm is everything. Without it, the field can't deliver a new signal. It's already full, echoing the one you've been tangled with. But when you cut the energetic cord, the field has no choice but to reflect the change. And often, it happens immediately. Here's what that looks like. You might feel a sudden emotional lightness, as if something intangible has lifted. You might notice synchronicities, signs, even opportunities appearing in ways that align with a version of you that once felt out of reach. Because by disentangling from the old version, you've stopped sending conflicting signals. You're no longer saying, "I want to grow," while remaining magnetically tied to a self that fears that very growth. The shift starts not with action, but with vibrational clarity. This is why rituals, visualizations, and embodiment practices can be so powerful when done with intention. You don't have to decode the past or relive every wound. What you need is coherence, the choice to close the loop and release the frequency, not the memory. Because memories are part of your story, but entanglements are part of your field, and that's what defines you now. Here's a practice to try. Sit quietly and bring to mind a part of your life that still feels charged, not from analysis, but from presence. Ask yourself, which version of me is still tied to this moment? And how would it feel to release that version with love? Visualize that thread, that energetic cord, unraveling, dissolving, not because you're rejecting it, but because you're no longer resonating with it. You're no longer choosing to stay bound to a frequency that doesn't match who you're becoming. And in that choice, something remarkable happens. Your field recalibrates. This is where science and spirit meet. In quantum physics, when a system is observed with new awareness, it reorganizes. In spiritual terms, this is the power of letting go. The frequency you emit shifts, and because the universe responds not to your words, but to your vibration, your reality begins to echo a new possibility. So here's your moment of energetic declaration. A message not just for the algorithm, but for the field itself, that you're ready to release what no longer serves you. And if this resonates deeply within you, if you've already felt something shift, we invite you to anchor that shift in the field. Comment below, "I release the thread." Say it, declare it, type it, not just with your fingers, but with your frequency. Let this be more than content. Let it be a turning point, a vibrational mark in your timeline. This isn't about cutting people out of your life. It's about cutting ties with frequencies that no longer align with your becoming. It's about no longer carrying the same energetic signature you held when the pain occurred. You're not just healing, you're evolving, vibrating on a new timeline. And that calls for a different kind of connection. One rooted, not in fear, survival, or scarcity, but in truth, coherence, and presence. In the next phase of this shift, we'll explore how your reality begins to accelerate and reorganize once the thread is cut, and how to stabilize this new frequency so it doesn't slip back into the old loop. Because the most beautiful part of entanglement is that you get to choose what and who you entangle with next. and the quantum field. It's already listening. So how do you know the thread has truly been released? How can you be sure the shift is real and not just wishful thinking? When a quantum entanglement dissolves, the field doesn't stay silent. It responds instantly, but not always in ways your mind anticipates. The signs are often subtle, vibrational, even paradoxical, and they appear first within you, not outside. The first and most common sign: emotional neutrality. You revisit an old memory, one that once stung, triggered, or spiraled you, and suddenly there's no charge. It's not that you've forgotten, it's that the thread is no longer active. The loop has closed. What once felt alive in your body now feels distant, almost like it happened to someone else. That's because the energetic imprint is gone, and without that resonance, the field no longer holds it in your present timeline. Then comes the energetic lightness. You might feel it as a deep exhale from your nervous system, a sense of inner spaciousness. Decisions that once felt heavy or confusing suddenly seem simple. You don't have all the answers, but you trust the flow. You stop asking, "How will this work?" and start feeling it already is. This is coherence returning. This is your system reorganizing around a new signal. You may also notice unexpected shifts in your surroundings. The universe begins adjusting the mirrors around you. People may fall away. Old opportunities lose their pull. Something you were chasing now feels unimportant. Not because you quit, but because you've moved beyond it. These aren't losses, they're realignments. The field is clearing what matched the old version of you to make space for what fits the new one. And then synchronicity, the right message at the right time. You might hear someone say a phrase that mirrors your inner shift. You open a book to the exact page you needed. You feel pulled toward places or experiences that move you forward without fear. These are confirmations, the universe saying, "Yes, we heard you." But perhaps the strongest sign is that your behavior shifts effortlessly. You stop over-explaining. You stop seeking approval. You stop obsessing over what they thought, what could go wrong, or whether you're doing enough. Instead, you respond from presence. You speak from your current energy, not your past fear. This isn't discipline, it's alignment. When the old tie is cut, your natural state begins to surface. Of course, part of you may want to test it, to go back and see if the old trigger still lingers. That's normal, just observe. If the old feeling returns, it's not failure, it's feedback. It just means there's another layer to release. And that's okay. Detachment happens in spirals, not straight lines. What matters is that you're no longer blind to it. This awareness alone lifts you higher, because you're no longer just reacting, you're recalibrating. You'll also notice a shift in what you want. Goals that once came from fear of lack fade, replaced by a deeper pull toward what's true and resonant. You're no longer manifesting to escape something. You're manifesting as a natural reflection of who you've become. That's the real shift, not when you get the thing, but when you no longer need it to feel whole. Let this be your reminder. When you cut the cord, the old self loses its grip, but the field doesn't leave you hollow. It starts filling that space with the version of you that was always waiting. The one unafraid, unstuck, unbroken. The you that resonates with truth. And here's the beauty of it. The moment you trust this new rhythm, the universe meets you with momentum. Time bends, growth accelerates. What once felt heavy now flows. You start to feel, maybe for the first time, that you're not dragging yourself through change. You're moved by it. In the next and final phase of this journey, we'll explore how to consciously choose the timeline you want to step into next. because quantum entanglement isn't to be feared, it's to be mastered. And when you do, your entire life reflects your truest frequency. Now that you see quantum entanglement not just as science, but as a mirror of your inner world, one final shift remains. And it may be the most vital. Once you sever the thread tethering you to limitation, fear, or repetition, an energetic void forms, and in the quantum field, emptiness doesn't last. Something will fill it. The only question is randomly or by design. This is where true manifestation begins, because quantum entanglement doesn't just explain why you feel stuck. It shows you how to advance. It reveals the nature of deep connection. And if you've been entangled with pain, fear, or false selves, you can just as easily entangle with joy, purpose, expansion, and your highest being. Entanglement isn't the foe, it's the path. You were never meant to wander life detached. The quantum field thrives on resonance, and your most aligned energy naturally attracts its match. This means you get to choose now what to entangle with next. So ask, what timeline am I ready to join? What reality do I want to merge with? Is it one of full alignment, where I speak my truth boldly, where I stop doubting my worth, and finally trust my soul's call? That version exists, not far off. It's here now, already vibrating, already calling. The only step needed is to align with it, not through force, but through surrender. Here's how to begin. First, clarity. Define the frequency you want to entangle with. Is it freedom, creativity, peace? Don't think in goals, think in states. What do you want to feel daily, no matter what? Second, coherence. Align your emotions with that frequency. Visualize not the outcome, but the vibration of living it. Feel waking up in that timeline. How do you move, speak, show up? Third, consistency. Entanglement demands not perfection, but repetition. The more you return to this frequency, the stronger the bond grows, until the field reflects it back. Not as hope, but as reality. And the final secret: you're not alone, you're already entwined with unseen forces. The field is wise, it responds, and when you align with your truth, the universe prunes what doesn't fit and expands what does. This is how you become a quantum creator, to see entanglement not just as physics, but as freedom. Freedom to fuse with your highest self. To resonate, not as someone seeking wholeness, but as someone already whole, already home. So let this be your awakening. If anything stirred in you here, trust it. If you felt chills, clarity, tears, or calm, that was the field answering. That was resonance remembered. And if you want to keep walking this path, to shed false timelines and anchor new ones with clarity and power, this space is yours. Subscribe, not to a channel, but to your frequency. This isn't just content, it's communion, and every return amplifies the signal. The next timeline is chosen. The next you is broadcasting. All that's left is to let it in.